guys, today we're in August. That only means one thing. Nobody is working. I'm joking, really, because I'm working. I know some of you guys are working, but typically, oh my God, it's holiday season. Some people out there are chilling. On holiday, it's common that some of us, you know, we have a little bit more food, train a little bit less, eat foods that are not necessarily the most nutritious foods. That's great, like I think that's amazing. And also we make really great memories, and I really don't want anyone to be in the same position as I was in the past, where I just used to pass up on them because I felt like I would lose my progress. And to be honest, I think this video is applicable for any time where you just take like a couple of weeks off or a week off. It's kind of all relevant. Food brings people together. It definitely brings my family together. Like if I was going to invite my family round and there wasn't food involved, I don't think they'd come around. And I feel like truly feeling like relaxed and zen around training and nutrition comes from understanding the science of what's going on. So I want that for you guys. I guess I could have just sat down here, given you the lowdown of what's going on, but I just feel like it brings it more to life if I live it through. And then we can actually clearly see where there's a gap between what we see, like short-term bloating, and then what's actually happening physiologically in our bodies. Wow, there's a lot of echo in here. Hello? Hello? Hello, hello, hello. To prepare for this week, I tracked all of last week. Now, if you guys know me, you'll know that I personally don't track, and I'm very good at just I eat when I'm hungry, stop when I'm full. So I don't really track anymore, but I did for this week, and that came to 2,400 calories. Now, if you guys have been watching me for a really long time, you'll know that there was a point I was eating way more, but I was way more active. At the moment, I've just started my third startup. I'm at my desk like 12 hours a day. I just don't feel as hungry. But that's kind of like my maintenance calories. So what I'm gonna do to kind of simulate that holiday vibe, chilling, I'm gonna go and increase my calories to 3,400. So that's a 1,000 calorie surplus. And I'm gonna reduce my training by about half. Because I feel like when you're on holiday, you're still doing stuff. You might do the shops, might do the markets. You're still being active. So I'm trying to kind of simulate that activity level and also like the increased amount of calories that I'm getting a lot of messages about. This does just apply generally to short-term overfeeding. So even if you take like a weekend to just eat a little bit more than you usually do or just relax, I just wanted to make it holiday themed because that's fun for me. So this is day one. Every morning I'm gonna shoot myself in the same angle, same mirror, same outfit, so we can do a comparison day by day and see how much my physique is changing. But yeah, this is how I look like on day one. How hungry are you on a scale of 1 to 10? 12. Pretty hungry. I got crushed pea salad, some baked fries, which are so good. And then I got a kale salad with lentils and extra chicken. Oh, and kombucha. Behind me is Mario's favourite place in the world. I can't do this with one hand.
This one's your favourite one normally.
Let me try that, just in case, you know, I might.
You judged it too quick.
Also, I went all out and I got this plastic cheese. It's a guilty pleasure.
You have fine taste.
I have a very, very refined taste. Let's try the burger. I'm so bad at eating burgers because usually they go everywhere.
Keep it horizontal, yeah. Don't flip it.
End of day one. Today is the water park day. It's not really a water park, it's more like a water obstacle course. girl I like to call...
Surfer girl.
Surfer girl is way cooler than this. Cool.
Lake girl.
Tonight we're having pasta, and it's a cheesy pasta. So I've got a lot of creme fraiche in here, a lot of Parmesan cheese, and a little bit of courgettes as well. So I'm very excited for this meal. So I just went through all the numbers of how many calories there are in this pasta dish. You know, it doesn't quite add up. So I'm gonna get that total up with some Parmesan cheese. I'm gonna get through all of this, and that will be the end of day 2. So having started eating 1,000 calories more than my usual diet, I definitely feel like I'm starting to bloat. And I know it's not fat gain, because I know that in short-term overfeeding periods, there is a clear distinction between weight gain and fat gain. There's a really good example from a 2014 study where the subjects were in a 1,500 calorie surplus. So they did that for 3 days, and they found that there was a highly statistically significant difference in weight of 0.7 kilograms, which perfectly matched the change in total body water, which was also 0.7 kilograms, and that was also highly statistically significant. But on top of that, they also found that there was no statistical significant difference in fat gain over the 3 days. That's just one example of a host of different studies. So then I was looking at a review in 2017. So reviews basically look at all of the literature to do with overfeeding studies to see whether we can see patterns across all of the different studies. So generally they were looking at longer studies, so studies that went up to 3 months of overfeeding. Here we're looking only at a maximum of like 2 weeks of overfeeding. So across the board, the increase in fat mass as a proportion of increased body weight is nowhere near 100%. So when we look at studies where the design was realistic, similar to what we're talking about, you could expect half of the weight gained to be water weight. This is a kind of general consensus that a lot of the weight that we put on over periods of overfeeding is down to water weight, and not all of it will go to fat gain. And that's why when I do have periods of overfeeding, I do just take it with a pinch of salt, because I know that a lot of the changes that I see in my body are mainly due to bloating. In the past, I used to have like anxiety when I went shopping and I felt bloated. I just didn't feel like myself. Honestly, since I've like learned more about the science of bloating, also since I've come to see my body more as like what can it do rather than how does it look, those two things combined have massively changed my outlook. So yeah, I know that I'm a little bit bloated, and I know that if something feels comfortable when I'm bloated, it's going to feel even more comfortable when I'm not bloated. So yeah. About detraining and training less, because I know that that can be something else that plays on people's minds. In general, when you take a little bit of time away from the gym, sometimes it can be scary to think that, oh my god, I'm going to lose all of my progress in terms of losing fat or putting on muscle. And I made a video about the science of not training for a couple of weeks. I really go into all of the detail, but in summary, your progress is not going to stall just like that from taking 2 weeks off. There's a few things that happen. So First of all, when we train, we have glycogen in our muscles. Glycogen binds to water, and so it gives your muscles that fuller appearance. Also, when we train and we do weightlifting, especially, it causes micro tears. So there's actually quite a bit of inflammation that goes on, but there's lots of other things contributing to the look and feel of your muscles, and it's not just muscle, there's other things in there as well. So when you take a short break, it's natural for your muscles to become a little bit glycogen depleted, and also you've given yourself a bit of rest, so you're not going to have that much inflammation. The inflammation will have cleared, so your muscles will appear smaller even though the net weight of muscle protein is still the same. So it's just like an appearance thing, but the actual protein and muscle that you've spent time to build is still going to be there. In addition to that, there's also really good scientific evidence backing up muscle memory. And what happens is, as an adaptation to training, we build up more myonuclei in our muscle fibers. And that myonuclei has all of the coding to build more protein. So the fact that you have more myonuclei is great, and the effects of that can last up to 15 years. So even if you take a long break from training, yes, you probably will lose muscle at some point, but it will take you much less time to rebuild that muscle than it did for you in the first place. So that's kind of what we mean by muscle memory. Those are the 3 really important things to remember if you've had worries about losing muscle. We're gonna make an absolute beauty of a post-workout shake. Has anyone tried this vanilla soy milk? It's absolutely insane.
I've never tried it.
So we're gonna have vanilla, soy milk, 1 banana.
Uh-oh.
I think that's it. I don't want to overcomplicate it, you know? I've got a few straws that I'm keen to use for this. That's how thick I'm hoping to make it.
So far it's like very yellow.
That's all about to change when I put a whole jar of Natacha. Will do. Oh, I told you it would go brown.
It actually went brown.
Oh my god, it's so thick. I can really feel that viscosity. Oh, that is so good. That's just what I needed, you know? I was thinking, I haven't really eaten enough so far.
It's very close to your face.
Is it? Is it really close? Is it too close? Because if I do this, it's zoomed in, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's have a look at what actually happens when we overfeed. Like, what does the science say about overfeeding? So I think it's important to look at the total daily energy expenditure equation made up of basal metabolic rate, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, physical activity, and thermic effect of foods. And there are a couple of mechanisms of energy expenditure that play a role to partly offset excess calories that we consume. And the 2 main mechanisms I'm going to talk about that help offset some of those excess calories are thermic effect of food and non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So thermic effect of food, the amount of calories that you burn through digestion. So when we look at overfeeding studies and what we know about thermic effect of food anyway, it contributes about 8 to 10% of the excess calories we consume. So we can assume that if I overeat by 1,000 calories, I'm burning 100 calories extra just through digestion. So the second mechanism is non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or NEAT for short. It's kind of neat. The amount of energy that you burn not through physical activity, sleeping, or digestion, but everything in between. So subconscious movement, fidgeting, walking, cleaning the house, anything like watching TV, tapping your feet, all of these little things, they all count towards NEAT. And it doesn't feel like a big thing when you're doing it because it's subconscious, you don't think about it, but it can contribute a lot. Every time I look at studies, there's always a huge interpersonal difference in NEAT. I always feel like up to 1,000 calories, I tend to find myself fidgeting more, I just have more energy. I think it can be variable within a person depending on how much they overate and what they were overfeeding with. But yeah, even in some cases, there was a Levine paper, Levine, I don't know, tomato, that was the same thing. Let's go with Levine, because it's like Adam Levine. So in the Levine paper, some people's NEAT was offsetting the additional calories they'd eaten by 70%, which is huge. But then some people became slightly more lethargic, so their NEAT actually decreased a little bit. Now generally when we're looking at the magnitude of all 3, so studies that try and assess total daily energy expenditure changes, looking at TEF, resting metabolic rate, non-exercise activity thermogenesis in terms of short-term overfeeding, so like under 10 days, and with realistic diet composition and living conditions, the actual number of studies that tick all of those boxes are quite small. From the research that has been done, it looks like there's a total increase in total daily energy expenditure, somewhere around 25% of the extra calories. So my total daily energy expenditure just by eating in excess of 1,000 calories will be 250 calories on average more. Another thing I quickly wanted to mention was that some studies have measured protein, carb and fats coming out in our poo. During overeating, they noticed that with a big fiber increase, there's also more of these macronutrients being excreted. I think we do need to do more studies here. There's not like a huge body of research that kind of supports this idea, but it could be another potential mechanism by which our bodies try and offset the excess calories. So in conclusion, when we look at what I spoke about to do with bloating a couple of days ago, and we also look at the mechanisms of NEAT and thermic effect of food, and potentially like excretion and your poo and absorption, the actual amount of fat that you put on during short periods of overfeeding is probably less than it looks. And it's also less than the calories we're eating because our bodies are offsetting that by increasing our total daily energy expenditure. Plus, there'll also be less muscle loss than we initially thought, and that might create the illusion of having lost your muscle and put on fat. But once you get back into the gym and back into your normal routine, everything will come back to normal. Our bodies like to have like consistency, so they try and minimize any kind of like shocks by putting in place certain mechanisms. Just absolute skills.
Here I come.
Oh my. This is what I look like after a week of eating a surplus of 1,000 calories every day. So I really tend to bloat from the arms. My arms just kind of stay how they are. Where I notice it most is around my legs, especially top of the thighs and also stomach. And yeah, this is what I look like. We've come to Hampstead Crepes, and also the best part is that there's no queue.
I've never looked at the savoury section. Oh my god. Why haven't I done this sooner? That is actually delectable. So we got cheese, ham and ratatouille. It's absolutely amazing. It's got a lot here. It's a very complete meal. You've got your carbs, your fats, your vegetables. So now we've given my body like a little bit of time for the water retention to go away and stabilize. Then I'm left with what was actually happening to my body, which is actually very little. I mean, if we compare day 10 to day 1, I'm sure that we can, if we're looking really, really closely, maybe we can see some differences. But personally, I feel like I've kind of gone back to the same, and I kind of feel the same as I did as I felt on day 1. So that's kind of the changes that my body sees when my body goes through like short-term overfeeding. You can see that the net change really isn't that much. So I hope this video acts as a little reminder to help you relax the next time you decide to take a little break from your normal routine. If you notice bloating or weight gain, you know that your body is just following the signs of short-term overfeeding, and there's really not that much to worry about. I believe in balance, and this video is for anyone who lives a relatively balanced lifestyle and who's taking a break now and then. I feel like truly achieving balance means being comfortable with moments of imbalance. And I think a big part of that comes from understanding what is going on and knowing that actually there's not much progress being lost anyway. So this video is about feeling free to spend the time that you want with your loved ones and not worrying about the gym, because the gym's always going to be there. That ain't going unless it gets shut down, but yeah. details. But the gyms in general will always be here. I do want to say though, if you are someone who has an imbalanced relationship with food or an eating disorder, that this video might not be suitable for you because your body might have made physiological adaptations that means that your body doesn't follow the science that we see in the published research. So the same conclusions might not apply. If you feel like you do fall into this category, then I do advise you to seek help from a qualified medical professional who can help you get through it, and I believe in you. So I love you guys, thank you so much for watching. Please give me a big thumbs up if you liked it, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys very soon. Love ya, bye!